Hello viewers, in today's video we will discuss the process of determination of consumers equilibrium with the help of utility analysis approach. Earlier you have been taught that it can either be determined by utility analysis or by indifference curve analysis approach. So let's first start with the utility analysis. It can be done separately in single commodity and in two commodity case. The single commodity case is known as Gaussian's first law, while consumer's equilibrium in two commodity case is known as Gaussian's second law. To find consumer's equilibrium in single commodity case, we take the help of law of diminishing marginal utility, whereas we take the help of law of equimarginal utility for finding consumer's equilibrium in two commodity case. So in the case of single commodity, we take the help of law of diminishing marginal utility, which simply states that as we go on consuming additional units of a particular good, the marginal utility derived from each additional unit tends to decline. So it is very important now to note the condition in case of single commodity. MUX divided by PX should be equal to MUM. Here MUX stands for marginal utility derived from 1 unit of good X. PX is the price of 1 unit of good X, and MUM denotes the marginal utility in terms of money. Here is the tabular representation. In first column you can see the units consumed. Here the consumer is consuming 6 units of that particular commodity. The second column represents MUX, that is marginal utility derived from every additional unit of good X by the consumer. So it goes on decreasing from 10 utils to 8, 6, 4, 2 and 0 utils when he is consuming the 6th unit. Now the third column, it is showing MUM. So for calculating MUM, that is marginal utility in terms of money, we simply need to divide MUX by marginal utility of 1 rupee. So here for this explanation, we have assumed the marginal utility of 1 rupee to be 2 utils. So on dividing 10 by 2, we get 5. On dividing 8 by 2, we get 4. In this way, the values in the third column, that is the values of MUM is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and 0. Means at 6th unit, the consumer is experiencing 0 utils in terms of money. Now the fourth column is stating the price of 1 unit of good X, which will be obviously same for every unit, that is 3 rupees. Now in the fifth column, gain and loss has been represented. So for calculating gain or loss, we simply need to take the difference of MUM, that is marginal utility in terms of money that the consumer is experiencing, and the price that he is spending for that. So at first unit, the consumer is experiencing a gain of 2 utils. At second unit of consumption, the gain has been shifted from 2 utils to 1 utils. Then at third unit of consumption, it is showing as 0, means the consumer is neither at gain nor at loss. At fourth unit of consumption, the consumer is experiencing loss of 1 util, so it is representing as -1. At fifth unit, it is -2, and at sixth unit of consumption, it is showing as -3. So if we look at the values which are at the top of 0, means which are before 0, before the third unit of consumption. So at this situation, the consumer is experiencing a favorable situation, because the consumer is feeling that the utility experienced by him is much more than the price being spent by him to achieve that utility. The values that are lying below 0 is showing an unfavorable situation for that very consumer, because he is thinking that he is not able to get as much satisfaction as the price being spent by him. So these both conditions, whether it's of favorable condition or it's of an unfavorable condition, these both conditions are known as conditions of disequilibrium for the consumer. But as we have studied in consumer's equilibrium, that a consumer always wants to stay at the point of consumer's equilibrium where he is getting maximum satisfaction by spending his limited income. So here at third unit of consumption, you can see that the value of MUM is 3 utils and the value of price is 3 rupees. So these both values are exactly equal to each other, and the consumer here is at consumer's equilibrium because he is neither at a gain nor at a loss. This is the graphical representation for finding consumer's equilibrium in single commodity case. The utility and price has been represented on the y axis, and the number of units consumed by the consumer has been represented on the x-axis. Here you can see a black horizontal line, which is also known as the price line, which is representing Px is equals to 3. So the part that is lying above the price line is showing a favorable situation for the consumer, and the part that is lying below the price line, that is below the line which is representing Px is equals to 3, is showing an unfavorable situation for the consumer. So whether it's a situation favoring consumer or in disfavor of consumer, the consumer always wants to reattain the position of the equilibrium. So let's see how it works. So these are the two conditions of disequilibrium. The first condition is when MUM is greater than Px, the situation which was lying above the price line. So here what happens, that the consumer feels that the satisfaction or utility received by him is greater than money spent. So the consumer feels happy and he goes on increasing and consuming more and more number of units of that particular good. With increase in that consumption, MU will start declining, and thus MUM will again become equal to Px and the consumer equilibrium will be reattained. The next situation here lies as when MUM is less than Px. This is a situation where consumer feels that the satisfaction received by him is much less than the money being spent by him for consuming that good. So the consumer will go on consuming less units of that good, and so MU will start increasing, and thus it will again become equal to Px and the equilibrium will be restored. So this is how a consumer reattains the point of equilibrium once it gets disturbed. So this was about the process of determining consumer's equilibrium in case of single commodity. Thank you. Stay tuned.